I finally started watching One Piece. As a big hater of the series, this was tough for me, but hear me out. I grew up watching Dragon Ball with my older brother, going through the teen years of Naruto and Bleach, and now that I'm older, I really like series like Vinland Saga and Berserk. But One Piece, I don't know, I never really got around to it, and I don't know why. Actually, scratch that. I know why.
Squabble? Meaningless, huh? What do you know of meaningless? You gotta be kidding me.
Water Luffy.
Guys, the art style and just everything about the show is so goofy, I cannot get over it. And honestly, this is the reason why I thought I'd never get into One Piece in the first place. But as you get older, you start to appreciate and be more open to different forms of media. At least for me. I mean, I used to be that anime fan that would strictly watch the series I mentioned earlier. Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, and Bleach. Outside of a few others like Death Note and Sword Art Online, I really just struggled to adopt new anime because I couldn't get into their art style or theme. Now that I'm an older and sophisticated young man now, I've opened my horizons to new series. I never would have thought I'd like a series like Chainsaw Man, a guy running around with a chainsaw head, chopping up demons that also have the heads of whatever power that they have. Oh, and there's also this scene. Not to mention the crazy series that's known as Don right now. So yeah, I think it's safe to say that nowadays, I'm much more open to the wackier, goofier side of anime. I mean, even the art style of some of these shows I watch now are a lot less serious and angular looking like Dragon Ball Z is. Granted, they are animated beautifully, so I'm sure that helps a lot. So in September, I decided to take my own One Piece virginity. So I'm obviously not here to ask whether or not the show is good. I think plenty of people have done that and they've done that better than I ever could. If you want to know a quick answer of what I think, yes, you should watch it. Obviously. More so, I'd like to talk about the point at which I got hooked in the series. That way, you don't look at One Piece as this 1100 episode colossus of an anime. Instead, you can be like, oh, it's gonna take me this amount of episodes to get interested. Obviously, my opinion doesn't go for everyone, but if you watch this video, you'll maybe get where I'm coming from. Also, I don't get why everyone gives One Piece a hard time for being so damn long. I mean, once the series gets good, you have all this content to watch, so I don't really see the issue. You see, when I was a young little lad, I would watch anime for the cool looking characters and flashy fights. Yeah, I was that anime kid. And then I would look at One Piece and it just felt like a completely different beast. I just couldn't see myself getting into it and honestly wrote it off. But the One Piece hype is pretty real. Every One Piece fan I know talks about it like it's the greatest thing ever. Hell, one of my favorite YouTubers, Teking11, talks exclusively about One Piece now. And I feel like I've been left out of the club since he stopped talking about Bleach so many years ago. And look how much there is to talk about within just One Piece. So that's when I thought, all right, enough's enough. I'm gonna see what this is all about. And not gonna lie, it was rough at first. I was watching those early episodes and man, it felt like a slog. The pace was slow and Luffy was so over the top that I couldn't stand him. I mean, it's not like I hated him, but he was just really annoying. Plus the English dub, yikes man. Luffy's voice was so grating to me at first that it almost made me want to quit.
Look! It can talk! It's a singing, talking Afro skeleton!
Well, I'll be dead.
By the way, I think this is the same voice actor that you use for Kid Goku and Kid Gohan in the new Kai DBZ, and I hate it. I hate it. It's horrible. And I hate to bring this up again, but look, everything is just so damn goofy, I can't get over it. I'm sorry, but Kakashi, Renji, Vegeta all look infinitely cooler than any character in One Piece, in my opinion. Anyways, let's get back to the show. I'm not going to treat all of you like you haven't at least heard of One Piece. So obviously the first arc is the East Blue arc, and within it are the smaller arcs such as Arlong Park, Sanji's boat arc thing, and more. This is essentially where the main Straw Hat crew comes together and kicks off the whole story. When I compare this beginning to other shows I mentioned, I actually don't think it's the worst start. That award would have to go to Bleach. That show has the worst start before Soul Society. It's so damn boring, but then it really picks up a ton. So it's not that the first couple of arcs aren't good and I couldn't see how people liked it, but to me they were just very, for the most part, traditional cookie cutter shonen storytelling. Luffy beats up bad guy for hurting friends. That's it. One thing that did stick out to me though as I watched the show is how well the arcs flow into each other. You know, now that I think about it, each arc is also very good at being its own self-contained story, which I can imagine is great for rewatch value. Now, the turning point for me for this show that I got to see what kind of everyone was talking about was in the Alabasta arc. Keep in mind, this is about 100 episodes into the show. This is where I realized that One Piece isn't just goofy characters and over-the-top fights. I mean, it still is where I am today, but yeah. The Alabasta arc showed me that this series is capable of delivering some deep, complex themes and some unforgettable moments. And man, Crocodile as a villain is awesome. He's so much more than your average I want to take over the world bad guy. His manipulation of Alabasta's political system, his use of misinformation to turn the people against their own leaders, and his cold, calculating demeanor brought a layer of depth that I hadn't seen in One Piece up until that point. He wasn't just physically strong, he was also pretty smart, so it made him really cunning. Crocodile is the kind of villain who forces the heroes to grow, and watching Luffy rise to meet that challenge was incredibly satisfying, because up until that point he'd really just been face-rolling everyone. But what really hooked me were the stakes of the Alabasta arc. The struggle wasn't really just about beating Crocodile, it was everything that entails after it about saving the kingdom. Since Vivi was introduced early on, we got to know her as a character, and her desperation to save her kingdom meant so much more to us. And that is good storytelling. I also love the moment when the crew raises their arms with the X's on them to say goodbye to Vivi. That's the emotional storytelling that I come to watch anime for. Another reason why I like this arc so much are the pivotal characters that play into it. Ace was one of those characters. I'd seen some clips of Ace on YouTube, so he definitely lived up to the hype. He's a really cool character and I can't wait to see more of him. Captain Smoker is another character that really stood out for me. He's not your typical antagonist, his sense of justice really keeps him on the good side almost, and I just love how he handles things. Without spoiling, can you guys tell me if we see more of him, because he's pretty dope. I like him. And then there's Nico Robin. Her sudden alignment with the Straw Hats, her mysterious backstory, and her badass devil fruit really had me intrigued with her. I couldn't figure her out, and I honestly still can't. I think it's kind of the point of the Water 7 arc, but yeah, I really like Nico Robin. She's honestly a cool character. The Alabasta arc also introduced me to deeper themes that One Piece is capable of tackling. Corruption, loyalty, the weight of leadership, and the cost of fighting for freedom. From that point, I stopped seeing the series as a stupid shonen, but as something more serious. From here on out, I was excited to see where One Piece would go. With all that being said, let's talk about the Skypiea arc. Oh, this arc was so boring. It felt like complete filler. I did not like the Skypiea arc. I know there are people out there that love it, not me. The pacing dragged, the stakes didn't feel immediate. Luffy and the gang constantly joked about dying, which I thought was strange because I thought their dreams were something that they needed to achieve. And then just the designs of the characters are just so strange to me outside of Enel. Enel was a cool villain. I thought he was interesting, mysterious, powerful, and his fight with Luffy was pretty solid. But overall, this arc felt like a complete fall off from Alabasta and even East Blue. And to be honest, the only reason why I didn't skip the Skypiea arc is because I heard that there were things about it that were important to the main story, like the Poneglyph and all that, but at the end of the day, I kind of felt like I could skip it. Again, this is only my opinion, but it just felt like One Piece was kind of going up and up and up, and then it skyrocketed with the Alabasta arc, and for me, hugely dropped off in Skypiea. Fortunately, I've been staying with the show, and I'm going to get into this, but the Water 7 arc is way, way better in terms of story, animation, and all of that. All right, let's talk about my favorite character. Roronoa. All right, let's talk about my favorite character. Roronoa Zoro. To be honest, I've watched some of Zoro's fights later in the series through YouTube clips, and his overall design early and especially later on is just super cool to me. I also love that his English voice actor is Piccolo from Dragon Ball Z. His introduction, tied up and starving while still refusing to back down, had me hooked immediately. He's the perfect mix of stoic badass and total goofball, which is a pretty rare combo, honestly. Zoro's loyalty to Luffy, his insane work ethic, and his absolute drip with those 3 swords had me pretty captivated. Sanji is also one of my favorite characters. I thoroughly enjoyed his backstory, and I can count on him for some funny banter. And I also love it when he just gets serious and takes some assholes down. Sanji's fighting style is almost always underestimated, and I'm just super curious to see where it goes as he tries to keep up with Luffy and the others. And yeah, those are really the only 2 characters that... Have you mentioned Usopp yet? Because I haven't heard you. Alright, cool. Let's talk about Usopp. I'm sorry, but he's got to be one of the most annoying characters I've ever watched. I can't stand his character, I hate how he yells almost every single sentence, and every time his nose breaks, it makes me feel uncomfortable. And it's not even that his character is poorly written or anything, because it's really not. I just couldn't stand him. And him constantly being the punching bag in every arc was repetitive, and he should have died several times. But with how many annoying characters there are in One Piece, there's like double the amount that I like. I can definitely tell how much time and care Oda spends when he's making a character. And not only that, when a character is introduced, you know they're going to be around for a while. I've really started to notice that every character in One Piece has some sort of captivating or tragic backstory, so it allows them to be much more fleshed out and you really get to know each character. My favorite backstory out of the Straw Hats was actually not Zoro's or Sanji's. It was Chopper's. His backstory is sad, tragic, and man, it really pulled on my heartstrings. Something I was not expecting out of another goofy looking character. Unlike a lot of shonens where they have disposable bad guys, this, One Piece's villains stick around. And this was so refreshing. Even somebody like Buggy the Clown, very early on, sticks around, and I've seen him in clips later on in the series, I guess hundreds of episodes later. He's stuck around the whole series, and he's grown, and I don't know if he's a villain later on, but it's just cool how you can know that these villains are going to stick around so you can kind of get invested with them. And the One Piece villains have more layers than other shonen villains. Arlong wasn't just a tyrant. I mean, he kind of was. But he was fighting on behalf of the fishmen and trying to get more rights and freedom for them. Crocodile wasn't just a scheming warlord. I mean, okay, kind of literally was. But his ambitions revealed deeper desires for power and control. And as I mentioned before, even someone as ridiculous as Buggy the Clown has moments of depth and growth. The characters are not the only great thing in One Piece though. The world building is insane. I'll leave a link to this in the description, but as you can see, here is a 3D model of the One Piece world, and it's insane. There is so much detail in this world that makes you wonder, wow, no wonder the story is still going on. There's so much to explore in this world. Every island the crew visits feels like its own world, with its own culture, politics, enemies, everything. And I'm obviously getting the idea now that each different arc is a different island, so it really breaks it up nicely. You'll hear about an island or city early on in the show, and then hundreds of episodes later visit it, and it's everything that the person talked about and more. It's just so cool. So where am I in the series now? I'm pretty deep in the Water 7 arc at episode 275. I kind of burned myself out by cramming so many episodes in, but now I've been taking a break making this video, so once I finish this, I'm gonna get back to it. Let me just say that the Water 7 arc is the best arc in the series so far, even better than the Alabasta arc, and I'm not even done with it. From the really cool setting to the intricate plot involving betrayals, mysteries, and high-stakes drama, the villains in this arc seem really cunning and powerful. And not only does the story get better, the animation gets way better. I noticed a huge jump in quality, which was much needed. I also like that the dynamics of the Straw Hats are being pushed to their limits here, having to possibly abandon the Going Merry. And even Usopp and Luffy get into it like some Naruto and Sasuke. Now that's the kind of friendship fights that I'm watching anime for. I love it. What I'll do is I'll make another video once I get to 500 episodes in or at the time skip. That way you can see how much more I like the series after I get through a couple more arcs, and if I think the show is getting better or worse. I've really been enjoying watching One Piece, and like I said earlier, since there's so many episodes, when the show's good, I'm just so happy that there's so much to watch. So go ahead and subscribe, guys, if you want to see the next video of my One Piece journey. I also post other videos around retro gaming and tech, so go check them out. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you later.